Welcome to Season 3 of Shine Time Radio, an unedited monthly podcast full of coaching, tarot, and life hints and tips for my favourite kind of folk, those dreamers, the schemers, and the magic makers. I'm your host, Jenny Robertson, life and intuitive coach, and the holder of space over here at Shine Time Coaching. Hello, lovely people, and welcome to August's edition of Shine Time Radio. Today, or I should say this month, has been a real focus on the offerings that Shine Time Coaching has available for us to work together. And it's a month to really focus and highlight all the ways we can work together and how these have evolved over time. So it's not just about what's there on offer. It's also a look at how myself as a person, as a coach, as a reader have evolved over time. And, you know, this business is going on 4 years soon. And the Shine Time coaching of 3 and a bit years ago doesn't look much like the Shine Time coaching of today, and for very good reason. I've been doing a lot of sort of reflecting on what makes us, how we evolve, you know, as myself as a person, how I've evolved as myself as a mother, as a friend, as, you know, in relationships, as a teacher over time. Like, we all evolve, right? We all spend or make up or give ourselves space to evolve over time. We're supposed to evolve and change and adapt and grow over time. Like, that's a thing that's supposed to happen. And I think sometimes we can feel like we're not supposed to, that if we evolve too often, or if we change things up too often, then it looks like we worry that we look like we are a bit wishy-washy, or we don't know what we're doing, or we don't have a very clear idea of who we are. And actually, the more that we allow ourselves to connect to ourselves and get to know ourselves in this season of our lives, and as we we get older and we grow and we meet new people, we understand new perspectives, we're aware of things, not new things, we're aware of what's going on in the world. There's things that are going on, there's options that we maybe didn't even know about, and we're allowed to grow and shift with those. And I think sometimes it can be difficult to give ourselves permission to do that. So when I first started off coaching, and this is the case for most people, I assume that you would recognize this pattern. I was following the letter of the model that I had learned to use in my training at the Rainer Institute. I was given and trained in a specific model, coaching model, which was a wonderful model. And Mark Rainer of the Rainer Institute created this model. And so many of us who've graduated from that use the model, and it works really, really well. But at the end of the day, I was following someone else's teachings and someone else's model. And that is, of course, totally fine. That's how we start, right? We are given a format, a thing to follow, to use when we're starting somewhere new. And we all do that. We all do that in all aspects of our lives. We do it from the time we're babies. You know, we learn from and emulate other people, or the people who are around us. And as we're, become professionals, we learn from and emulate our teachers and our guides in any new adventure that we take on, no matter what it is. But as is the way of life, we all need to find our own unique magic and our own unique way of doing the things that we do, that we enjoy doing, that we do, whether it's as a job or as a hobby or whatever it is, we find our own way. And that shift from student, to master, and the word mastery being really used as the discovery of our own style and way of implementing things. It's not that when I think of the word master, it's not that I have nailed it. I've not completed it. I've have enough experience and study under my belt now that I can consider myself well educated in the thing that I'm doing, and that I can take the thing that I've learned and I can tweak it and I can make it my own, and I can adapt it to suit me and to suit the people I'm working with. So I don't mean masters in like nailed it, done, ticky box. I've nailed it. I've mastered that. I'm good. Because there's nothing in this world that any of us will master that leaves no room for anything else, for any more learning, any more growth. So, that follows us in all parts of our lives, from being a friend. We discover and learn how we are as a friend, and we grow and adapt that way. And same with being partners with somebody, and same with being a parent. We find our own style. We find our own way of existing in those realms. We find our own way of being. And we learn what is important to us and our values, and we adapt our style and our lives to fit that. We would hope. We would hope that's the case. It's the same for everything from being an athlete or a musician or teacher or business owner or coach. You start somewhere, you learn from others, you do what they've taught you, you keep what works for you, and then you adapt or drop what doesn't. You learn more, you try something out, you try again, you grow, and you kind of do this like for forever and always. I was laughing because when I think back, and I'm so tempted sometimes to go back and delete the first podcast episodes, right? Even though it actually has the most amount of listens. People were obviously curious what I'm doing, but I don't even sound like myself. Like I don't sound like myself in it. It's not me speaking. I'm kind of parroting the themes that I was learning along the way. And I absolutely cringe when I listen back, or when I read some of my first posts starting off as a baby coach of all those years ago. I do the same thing when I think back to some of the things I did as a teacher. The things I thought I could achieve, or the things I like, overcomplicated ways of doing things, or whatever. You look back on your career, you look back at your profession or your hobbies or your interests, and you think back to when you first started, and you're like, oh Lord, jeez, right? So yeah, I do cringe a little bit when I look back at my early days of coaching. Also, though, I completely am in love with that version of me who felt so pulled to start something new, and who took a chance on a job that is not commonplace, I suppose, or has actually it can have a really negative connotation. So I'm completely in love with that person who knew there was something there for me, and who took that chance and started something new. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely love her. Cringe listening, and also love her. And it's you can tell people you need to give things time. You need to let them evolve at their own pace and time. But actually living that and understanding it is a completely different thing. And now that I even have this glimpse back, this 3-year glimpse back to what was and it's become, is so fascinating, like so fascinating. So what I've created now and what I'm working on now is the culmination of years, not even just from like learning, retraining as a coach, but, culmination of all my experiences in the past, especially around teaching. The amount of skill set I have from teaching is unbelievable. It's a highly skilled profession, although most teachers don't realize how highly skilled they are, I would say. It can be one of those professions, it's almost a bit of gaslighting going on, where a lot of teachers feel like, oh, they're just teachers. But actually the skill set that teachers have, and the transferable skills that teachers have, is unbelievable. And I think if more teachers were really aware and knew that, there wouldn't be as many teachers in teaching. It's becoming a more and more difficult place to exist, as are a lot of public sector and support and care industries and places. But anyways, I digress. So what I've created here is a culmination of the years before learning to become a coach and since learning to become a coach and tarot reader, of taking what works for me, learning what works for the folks I conspire with, that I work with, discovering different styles and ideas, trying them on, adapting things, shifting the language for things, making it all my own, and then making it all my own brand of thing. Um, and this will never end. Like where I'm at right now and the offerings I have right now, it really is like a wee pause along the way. I have no doubts that they will adapt and change and grow over time, depending what's going on in my life and where I'm at with my own journey. And also what I might notice that people around me and the lovelies I work with, what they're needing. And so things might change. I know they'll change. But these offerings right now are what are working for me and for us. And I'm really happy to take that moment to sit with them and to sit with it for a while and use them. And also letting there be room for tweaks and shifts and maybe even changes down the line. Like letting there be that door open and room for that possibility. You have to have both, right? So I'm definitely here for the learning and the changing of minds and the discovering our own unique way of doing things. I'm so here for that. And I absolutely love watching and cheering other people on who are going through the same thing. It's just amazing to have that perspective now when you see, oh yeah, like look where I've come. And seeing how other people are on their own journey and seeing people I really admire and going back a bit and seeing where their journey took them. And everyone will say that they've created things that nobody bought. They've done lives where nobody showed up. They've, created a product that nobody wanted. Like we've all done that, but we've all had to do that to try things out and to figure stuff out. And it's part of the process, isn't it? And I think if we let ourselves be open to that and not assume we're going to be this one hit wonder, great success straight off the bat, but there's space and time to evolve. It's really exciting because you just actually don't really know where it might go. If I looked back at the start of going into coaching, I had an idea about what my coaching would be, but it was based on other coaches because that's all I had known, right? If you'd said to me, you're going to be a habit-based coach, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. I love habits. That makes sense for me. If you'd said that you're going to do a huge amount of your work around being as a tarot reader, would have blown my mind. Putting the two together, no. Like, even though that seed was being planted at the same time, I was doing my course and at the same time was feeling very pulled to do Lindsay Mack's tarot course as well. And so I actually did the training for both of them at the same time, or they overlapped. And so a lot of the theories and beliefs and the ideas, the styles are different. However, a lot of the fundamental beliefs and things were very similar. So they kind of melded together. And that was just, is it happenstance? I don't know. I think it was a little bit more for me, considering now that's my role as a coach and reader. I'm a coach and a tarot reader, and I do the both together, and they work amazingly well together. But I never would have believed that that's what things were going to be and how it was going to be for me. So you have to be open to possibility, right? And there are, I'm just one of hundreds of thousands of amazing coaches and tarot readers out there. Like there's a landscape of coaching and tarot readers out there. There's a lot of really shit ones as well. And I say that there's a lot of the coaching in particular realm can be really harmful. And there's a lot in the wellness industry that can be very harmful, very bypassing, very ego driven, really harmful, right? So I can wholeheartedly say there are some really shit people out there doing the work that I love or in the realm that I love, and damaging the reputation of it. But there are also so many amazing coaches. There are amazing tarot readers out there. There's somebody for everyone. 100% believe that. And there's not a lot of brand new information when it comes to what we do. A lot of the models have different names, different techniques, but actually the bones of them are very similar. There's a lot of recycling of people's theories and understandings of things. We're all reading, probably a lot of the coaches, we're all reading the same books. who, from authors who have all read each other's books, who, we're learning from a pool of information out there that isn't all brand new, really. But we absolutely can bring our own energy and our own perspective to things. And that's what makes it unique. So my coaching is not hugely different from another coach's stuff. However, we might speak in a way, understand things in a way, have life experiences in a way that better suit the people that want to work with us. That's why it's so important that for me that I share a lot of personal, like kind of the type of person I am, and that I'm quite personable on social media in particular, because I think you need to kind of know the coach that you're choosing. I don't necessarily think it's the plan, well, to be fair, what I should say is that there's so many coaches that are very, very niche in what they do, and that's important. So if you might need a specific grief coaching, or coaching around body image, or coaching around confidence, or coaching around like job employment coaching. There's so many styles of coaching. So that's where we bring our own, special interests into. But actually, a lot of the theories and a lot of the bones of the models are very similar. It's all we can do is to bring our own unique perspective on things. Absolutely. And our own unique style and our own unique experiences, and share, and how we share. Someone who could listen to me or see my posts and be like, oh, that is not for me, but actually could really benefit from a coach who does share things or speaks in a way that they can listen to, that they can understand. That's the whole point. My coaching and tarot are heavily influenced by my teachers, and also they have completely taken on a life of their own through my own perspective, through my own style, my own experiences, and they also, because they influenced each other. So yeah, what I have done, which is I've started off with I was very broad in my coaching style. And I remember in the beginning being like, coach as many people, like just leave it open. Although all the stuff I was reading was, no, get really, really niche in what you want to coach, like get super niche, like know who you're targeting. I hate that term, but you know what I mean? Like, who's your audience? Who's your ideal client, so to speak? Also hate that term, but you know what I mean? I'll tell you, I don't like the term client, and I have used it every so often. It slips in because there's really not that many words to use instead of client, but there is kind of like an impression of like, I'm here up here and you're there, like there, and you come to me for advice. And that's really not the style of work that we do together. It's a very much, we're in an arena together, very like, let's explore together. I have the container, I have the model, I have the resources and the training and the expertise in that area, but nobody knows you better than you. And so I can only just hold the space for you, and you get to explore in a really, what I would hope is a safe place to do that in. But yeah, like, I hate the term client. So I think it's really important that's when we talk about language and stuff, isn't it? But yes, I think that, so knowing the person that you want to work with. So that started off like that. And actually, yeah, everything I read was like, no, you need to know exactly who you're in. And I get it now. You really do. So if you're thinking of coaching, I'm going to say, if you're feeling like that same way as me, I was like, no, bigger, the broader, the better, the more people I can engage with, the better. Yeah, no. People need to know who you're there for, and, what your style is, what your systems are, what your understanding and your niche specialties are. Like, people need to know what they're going to you for. So yeah, I've come to that conclusion over the 3 years. Oh, this makes sense. There's things I don't want to coach like around. I just don't. And that's a very personal thing. Whether it is something I'm working through, or that I don't feel comfortable exploring for myself, or I don't have the expertise. I've talked about in a post about not being For everybody, I'm not a trained psychologist or therapist. And there's things I'm trying my best to be trauma informed for myself so I don't pass on harm. I'm not a specifically trauma informed coach. So there's that aspect as well. And so you do need to get yourself a really clear idea. So yes, I started off really broad. Shine Time Coaching had all these just really broad coaching, and I used really broad terms and very broad options. And it's because I didn't know. I didn't know who I was here for and what I was, even for myself. I didn't have my personal, like, that voice, I didn't have that unique style yet. Which is, it's lovely to see the evolution. As much as I want to look back and be like, it was a lovely time, and it was me just dipping my toe in a really unoffensive way as best as I could. So I've narrowed it down now to 4 offerings. 3 of them are tarot offerings, and then the 4th one is a specific habit coaching offering. Although I've already had opportunities to work with both, where somebody wanted to do the habit coaching with tarot readings involved. So that was so exciting and super effective, and I would love to do more of that. So that is always an option. So essentially my tarot offerings are broken down into 3 different options. So we've got like a classic tarot reading, very straightforward tarot reading, but it always will have a coaching twist, because that is the lens with which I read tarot. And that is done over email. And for those who are unsure how that works, it works extremely well. I had to try it a few times, and I've been blown away by how well it really works. I'm a remote reader, so my intuition and connection isn't super loud. Maybe it will become louder as I get more practice, over years and things like that. But I am easily distracted. And if I'm not in a quiet space, in a calm, relaxed, quiet space, it just doesn't work for me. And I'm really confident in this style because whether I've spoken to someone on the phone or through voice notes on WhatsApp or through just emails, I've been able to give a really supportive reading that has blown people away. And I know I'm only saying that because of the feedback I've gotten. I'm tooting my own horn here. I mean, I suppose I am, but not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not my style, I suppose. But yeah, people have been really, really moved by these email readings. So you would send me information, as much as you'd want to send me, as much as you felt comfortable sending me, although the more you send me around the specific area that you're hoping to get a reading around, then the better. And then I do a 3-card reading. I also give you your birth card information, how it relates to you right now, your year card information, how to harness it. And you get a very detailed write-up and a very, very detailed voice note all about your reading. So you can have it, and that's you get it, and that's it, for you to have. And I'm, of course, available afterwards for any questions around the reading or if there's any clarification needed. And it has been really, really successful. And the second option is tarot with coaching. So this is where you have everything from the classic tarot, except you will also get an hour of coaching to use at your discretion, whether it's you want to do the hour before the reading, whether you want to do half and half, a little bit of a chat before the reading, then the reading happens, and then having a follow-up. Most people use it and reserve it for after the reading, to talk through the reading and how you can, some real concrete sort of steps to take and how you can implement some of the things that were coming up in your reading. It's a really lovely one as well. And then there's a third option for tarot, which is around tarot mentorship and support, which I'm so excited by this option because quite a few people have started to ask my advice around a reading that they got and they couldn't quite figure out exactly what it was, or they've started my course. I've got a couple courses to start off learning how to read tarot or to sort of deepen your understanding of tarot. And they maybe want some support through at a point in the course that they're stuck on, or they want some more understanding of it, or they want to be mentored around tarot, or they want a help with a tarot spread they've done themselves, they just can't quite get a handle on. And so that option is there. So to allow anyone to sort of pick my brains a bit about anything to do with tarot. And it's a really exciting option, and I love it because this teacher in me will never die. Whether I'm teaching, I won't be for much longer or not. I will always be a teacher. I will always be teaching in some aspect because it's just a big part of who I am. So those are the 3 tarot options. And then there is the kind-hearted habit support. And it's my one and only straight coaching offer. And like I said, I have done where it's mixed with tarot, and it's wonderful. But yeah, habits are a bit of a love language for me. It's a love language I use for myself. And I've been coaching, I've worked habits my whole life, really, especially being, a swimmer and rower and all those sort of things. Had to really rely on some good habits, and then realize how important habit development was with children when I was a teacher, especially with the wee1s and P1. And then again as a coach. And it's just really what I'm always drawn to. I'm always drawn to habits and how they impact our lives and how we can harness them, and how we can replace bad habits, how we can release bad habits, how we can implement good habits. And actually, it's the work that comes before the habit choosing and implementing that I love, around really connecting to who we are as people, how we work best, like really understanding ourselves. And that work in itself is massive. And so I'm really, really excited to share, because I think habits can be weaponized a bit against us, by external factors, definitely. There's a lot of people giving us advice about which habits we should be focusing on. And if we don't, then we're lazy or, unmotivated, this, that, and the other. But I think we can weaponize habits against ourselves as well. And so kind-hearted habits came to life because it was very much about that gentle, easeful perspective around habit building and habit work in a really curious, kind, loving way. So there's a trail guide for myself with coaching has been in the works in my mind, and with, working with someone else around how I can, there was a thing there. A trail guide has been there for a while, and it was going to be this big elaborate book, and I shelved that for a bit. And then was doing quite a lot of focus on kind-hearted habits last month, and it just started to click, and it clicked and it clicked, and it all kind of came together. And this sort of program for coaching program specifically around habits was born. And it was so lovely when it just sort of came. The name came, just bing, came after all the sort of pieces fell together. And it's a wonderful one-to-one coaching plan. And there's the option for how long of a block to select. Some people might want to come and do a top-up, one top-up session. Most people are choosing 5 to 10 session blocks, with the option for more down the line, because really we'll only get to focus on eventually one habit. But all the work that goes into beforehand is big stuff. But the coaching stuff is there. So there's all that information is going to be played out over the next month, in terms of the different chunks, the different sections of that habit work. But you can go read about it on the blog. It's all up there already, and you can see a lot of it on Instagram as well. And yes, that is it. So 4 offerings. Finally, Shine Time Coaching has kind of landed on a really stable, wonderful foundation that took a long time coming, that was meant to take a while coming. And it's really just about giving ourselves a chance to get curious about our own potential, really, whether it's tarot or habits or whatever. So yes, all the information is there. It's on the website, it's on the blog, it's on Instagram. If you want to get a bit more information about any of those options, then you can definitely find those there. But it's been a joy to kind of explore and look into the things that have made Shine Time Coaching the place it is today, and the coach she is today. So thank you for listening and joining me as always. I hope the rest of August is wonderful for you. And we'll see you next month. Thank you so much for joining me here in this space. You can find out more about the work we do over on the website, shinetimecoaching.com, and Instagram at shinetime_coaching. If you enjoyed the podcast, it would mean an awful lot to this human if you would consider leaving a wee review on your podcast listening platform of choice. I hope your month is full of what you want and a whole lot of what you need. Until next time, take care, lovelies.